are few people in the Palestinian Authority who can speak to the economy, who can speak to energy, who can speak about what's happening. Azzam Shawwa has held many positions in government, both in finance and in energy, and he also was the governor of the Bank of Palestine from the year of 2015 to 2021 of the Palestine Monetary Authority. Thank you so much for joining me at the Media Line to discuss issues that are concerning the Palestinians and the world today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for arranging this interview at this time where we all need to speak up and talk more about what's going on.
I want to begin, and this is, I'm sure, not easy. You know, it's months of what's happening in terms of a war between Israel and Hamas, and the Palestinian Authority has had fiscal woes. Certainly, it's been an act of war in the midst of something that's very complicated. And I want to stress very complicated in terms of the economy and how the economy has had a major fallout, both in terms of the Palestinian Authority itself and also in terms of what's happening in Gaza. I want you to please explain the differences of what happens economically, both between the PA and Gaza, and also what has been the fallout of the war.
To start with, you know, the economy in Palestine, it relies on several sources of income. One of it's the local revenues and taxation. One of the other one is the customs that comes through the Israeli-Palestinian clearinghouse, where it's been held for quite a while as a decision of the Israeli government. The other source is the donation that comes from the international community and the Arab countries. For the last several months, even before the war, all these sources of income were kind of on hold, except the local revenues. The local revenues, it's the taxation and the VAT, but it's not enough to sustain the expenses of the government. When I'm saying the expenses of the government, it's been recently the major burden is the payroll of the government employees. And that's been kind of for the last, like, I would say 10 months or more. It's been like 30%, 50%. Like today, they paid 50% of the salaries. Now, maybe I also have to mention that one other source of income, but was not really going into the core of the economy, but at least it was a good source of income for the day-to-day, which is the workers that works in Israel. There are over 150,000 workers, but starting when the war started, and all these workers, they were returned to the West Bank, even the one from Gaza. And that's really make it also another zero income to the workers and their families and whoever rely on their income.
Let's say the war ends tomorrow. What is going to happen? Do you feel that there's going to be some umbrella group that comes together between the Americans and Europeans that might help to assist to defray some of the costs, to help to pump in money into the Palestinian Authority? What do you feel will be the day after?
Now, there was a very important meeting. It's the AHLC, but they changed the name this year because Israel wasn't there. So they named it differently. But in that very important international umbrella, they all committed to start sending whatever is needed for the Palestinian Authority, where it can meet its needs of paying the major, at least, expenses like payrolls, like maybe covering hospitals, buying all medical supplies, medicine, and other important things. And that's, so far we haven't heard real thing that the money came in. Even several Arab countries, they promised that they will pay. Algeria is the only one that really paid whatever they promised, but the rest of the countries, no, they haven't paid yet. The new prime minister and his government, they're doing their utmost is to try to convince everybody for them to do whatever is needed from the donors to support the government, so the government can do whatever their mandate is. So far, the roadshow that they had, the prime minister and the minister of finance and the other related ministers, they've been around, just going into circle to meet all countries, but so far nothing came out of it except the good words, the promises, and the goodwill of that. Yes, we will pay whatever is needed.
President Biden recently warned of the imminent collapse of the Gazan economy. And the question here is, why haven't some of the Arab nations come forward to assist?
It's very, very strange that they still not paying whatever they promised to pay. But it seems the political situation that we are in these days is becoming very complicated and very difficult, and that's make some countries are, they want to support, some countries they want to wait and see what's happening. Some other countries, they are waiting to see the governance of the new government, how it's going to play the role of transparency and all that kind of things, even though the prime minister and his ministers, they all very prominent people who are residing in Palestine, and most of them and all of them, they were very successful people. They're coming from background that mostly it's a business background, so some professionals in that government. But it's becoming tough on these guys that who accepted the post and just was sworn in to serve this kind of very tough and difficult era that we are living in, especially what's happening not only in the West Bank, the disaster is what's happening in Gaza, and that's the challenge. What's going to be the plan of this existing government and the international institutions like World Bank and others, also the donors who are really keen to all, and they always been helping to sustain Palestine. This time, no, you don't see that much of happening. And I think every plan that the government think of, it depends on what's going to be the day after the war is over in Gaza in particular. So I think that is what makes it very complicated. Everybody wants to know what's tomorrow, and tomorrow it's just it's a very vague, and it's gray, and it's dark. I don't know. It's really is. This is one the first time maybe, at least for the last 34 years, that nobody's knowing what to do.
The foreign minister in the UAE, Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, was reported to have been tough on Hussein Sheikh on the sidelines of the World Economic Forum in Riyadh. And he said that he was very disturbed that he had not seen significant reforms, and called the Palestinian leadership an al-Baba and 40 bandits. He claimed that the senior officials in the PA are useless, and that replacing them with each other will only lead to the same result. So the question I have is, why should the UAE give financial aid to the Palestinian Authority without real reforms? How would you answer that, addressing this to the foreign minister in the UAE, when Arab nations have not come forward in support?
To be honest, I'm not really sure of why he was tough on Hussein and the others, but he sent a very clear message. Maybe my advice to everybody is they need to wait and see. Let's not prejudge of the action of this new government. And best thing is just simply is I think they've been there like almost 2 months now. They haven't been actually went through the third month, And as far as I know, and I'm aware that they are doing their utmost and their best to serve whatever is good for the Palestinians, also for the image of the Palestinians, and also for the transparency of the next step of when they start receiving funding from everybody. Might be just misjudgment. For me, it's not. For me, it's not clear. Emirates historically, normally they were supporting, and sometimes fine. There is here and there that they were paused, but they are always supporting through their different agencies, the Palestinians, and also in Gaza through Hilal associations, through other Emirates NGOs that are really supporting a lot of institutions, health institutions, social institutions. I don't know. They should be moving forward one step further and think in this very rough time, all of us need to be around the government. So to give the government the chance to kick off and to really function as a full pledge, especially still even with the new government, we still have the situations in the West Bank. It's not really a good atmosphere and for the government to function even in the West Bank. So if it's like this in the West Bank and the war in Gaza, I don't know what we expect from the government, and on the top of all, the funding. You know, they're receiving the minimum of funding. Maybe best thing, let's wait and see, and hopefully everybody will gather the needed information about the reality of this new government, and then that's will support, and will all of them, they will support. Because for me, we're supporting Palestine regarding who's chairing the government or who's in the government, especially the countries like the US and European countries. They were saluting the government when after they sworn in, and they all made statements that we are supporting. Even the Arab countries, a lot of them, they said we are supporting.
How does that translate?
That translates into a very rough time, and I don't think anyone, any country or any responsible leader wants to see the collapse of the government in Palestine, because the collapse meaning more collapse for the economy, and that's what our concern. Because if the economy really 100% collapse, then what?
Go back to when you were in office and you were involved with the money flow and the economy, and you saw things moving in a better way, that there was actually cooperation with America, there was cooperation with Israel. Things were a little different. What do you feel needs to be done to turn the clock back? And can it?
Listen, to turn the clock right backward, it's not going to be that easily. You have a government in Israel that, unfortunately, you have ministers that they are in power, and they don't see us. They don't see the Palestinians, and they don't care. And for them, it's not part of the agenda to see that things are moving forward. And for example, the money is held by the Minister of Finance. I mean, legally speaking, there is no reason for it. It's only political, but I don't know. Coming from the background that we faced this kind of situation several times, but every time there was a way of communication that you can talk sense into the ministers at that time. At least the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years. But today it seems no. It's just this, they are all what they see. They don't see Palestine. They don't see Palestinians. They only see, which is unfortunate. This is not how you deal with a neighboring country, even though we are in the worst relation at this time. I would say, especially after what happened in Gaza took us. But before even the war, they were not acting as a ministers that they want to bring. I don't want to say bring peace, but bring stability. Till one day, hopefully, that there'll be an officials from all sides that they can sit down on the table and bring peace to the table, because that's the only thing for the coming generation. I'm sorry to say it, but I'm from the generation that we thought that we're going to be seeing a two-state solution or a peaceful area that will grow up in, at least for the last 35 to 40 years. And now it's our sons and daughters who are going into the trap of where we were 4 years ago. I don't know, but with this kind of economy and the collapse that I'm seeing, if it stays this way, I don't know what's next. Really, it's gonna look bad. It's gonna look bad, and I don't know.
Can you explain what that means when you say the economy looks bad? Maybe give an example of where the GDP stands right now, what's on hold, how are people getting by?
Listen, if you visit the West Bank, the major cities, you'll be amazed at how quiet is the business hours. You don't see much people going to the market to buy. Like now we're going into Eid al-Adha, which is before al-Hajj, which is a very it's an annual festival for us. And normally people traditionally they go buy new clothes for the kids. Give some cash in hand, whatever. That kind of business, it's completely off. You just can't go from one end of the city to the other. Instead of taking you 30 to 45 minutes, now it takes you 10 minutes because there is no people in the streets once are shopping because they don't have enough income. Again, the governmental employee and their vast of the population who are working, the workers that works in Israel, they're not working. The only left is the private sector, like big companies, like maybe the communications companies, the banks, the insurance, so it's the financial. Also, for example, the big companies that supply medicine and medical equipment to the Ministry of Health, they're not getting paid. So meaning also they're not paying what they should pay to their staff. So the whole circle is not functioning well. That's why I'm worried. That's my worry. I mean, with all the different sectors, we're paying on time. The economy was kind of 50-50. It was not as good as it has been maybe 30 years ago. It's been very tough. Even the agribusiness. And in the agribusiness, it's with most of these checkpoints on the West Bank, between here and there, it stops a lot of the trucks to move from one end to the other, like from Jenin to Hebron, from Nablus to Ramallah, or if it's a coal truck that are carrying different kind of supplies. It takes him a whole day just to go from one end to the other. So that's why I'm saying this.
I'm speaking with Azzam Shawwa, who was a minister of energy. He also was the governor of the Palestinian Monetary Authority. You yourself lived in Gaza. And if you can share a little bit about that, and I know that you unfortunately have lost family as well in the war.
Yeah, unfortunately, I know a lot of us lost people from their families. Personally, I lost so far 95. That's elderly, women and children, and of course from the young generation. And a lot of the homes were demolished, and a lot of the agribusiness that my family used to at least work in that kind of field, and other different businesses. It's all just the price is very high, but I still see that we and with all the good friends who are either from Gaza or from outside Gaza, we can all get together at one day and we'll see for an action plan and to start seeing what we can do in Gaza, even though a lot of the historical, a lot of the places that were completely destroyed for no reason. Why? I don't think even a tunnel under those places were a reason. But you're talking about old places, maybe like 1,000 years, 2,000. You know, Gaza City is one of the oldest city in the region here. It's like it's up to 5,000 years. I don't know why. Uh, Everybody was targeted during this war over Gaza, and that's another thing. Might be make it more easier on people to accept that everybody was targeted and still targeted. I'm not sure, but this is at least how I feel. I hope that really we can get together as soon as we can and stop this war, and everybody just start worrying about his own people in Gaza, in Palestine, even in Israel. And but a lot of bloodshed, a lot of damage happened so far, and it's going to take us years of years to try to come up with the actual business plan to rebuild Gaza or build new Gaza. And we're talking about rebuilding, but I don't think now it's a rebuilding anymore. Uh, a lot of different master plans now are going out, but all of it is relying on when's the war's going to stop and what's going to be the final look of the big disaster that happened to our region here in our area. I know a lot of people are suffering from all different sides, but still, I don't know. I don't know. I have to stop here.
When Hamas shook the world and October 7th happened, Israel was put in motion to react. When Israel realized there were tunnels all over in mosques and schools, and kids were involved in indoctrination for so many years, and Fatah says they're not involved in that, how does Fatah disassociate from that? How does Fatah move forward, knowing full well it's very problematic in terms of the formation of the future of a government? Is there an answer here?
There is no an answer, actually. It's a responsibility on everybody that took us to be in this square. The support of the Netanyahu governments, Mr. Netanyahu governments over the years, also took us here. The never reconciliation between Fatah and Hamas, and I think everybody is taking the responsibility. I mean, where were everybody when all these tunnels were built? If we want to carry responsibility now, it's the blaming on Gaza, the Gazan who are blamed. Come on, I'm trying to be very choose my words, but really, it's a lot of responsibility, and whoever was in charge over the last 20 years, I would say.
Is there any hope? Because frankly, the world is seeing all this and they feel overwhelmed. They see it on every end. They're seeing that the future doesn't hold a lot of hope. What do you see?
Listen, true Gazan, true Palestinians always have to believe in hope. We have to see hope. We have to see tomorrow. The only question is what's tomorrow, but there is tomorrow. And there will be tomorrow. And I'm sure that there are big number of people, as Palestinians, as I said before, Gaza, non-Gaza, from the international, from the Arab countries, will get together and will start an initiative that will be really taking Gaza to forward. But it seems it's going to be a new world. It's not going to be the beautiful Gaza that I grew up and raised in it. and it was completely different. And not even, I mean, I don't know, but that's it. If you don't have hope, give up. But we don't give up. We don't believe in giving up. Personally, and so many of my good friends and my family.
Have you seen a brain drain of some of the better, more talented Palestinians leave because of events that are happening? It's happening in Israel as we speak, and it's happening elsewhere. And my question stands.
Oh yes, you're right. A lot of people, they have left either to Egypt, or if they have another citizen, like international citizen, like Canadian, American, European, the only choice of just going there till it's settled. And when this over, now the challenge of how to convince these people to come back. A lot of them, morally, yes, they're all saying yes, we'll come back. But I think they will be coming back on a very solid ground that this is not going to happen anymore. No more war. No, I'm going to use the old: no more war, no more bloodshed. Maybe it's time repeat itself. Peace is the word. That's the only thing I believe that will convince everybody to come back. Even will convince donors to invest in Palestine, in particular in Gaza, because now it's the part that's really suffering and dying day by day. I don't know. Hopefully, we can stop this at any time, like from like now and beyond. I urge personally, before we close down, really, I urge all leaders who are in charge of this big challenge that we are having. Either Israeli leaders, Palestinians, Arab leaders, Europeans, Americans. Enough is enough, and I think really we need to stop this. It's only taking us to more hatred, and people who are always think of tomorrow and love peace and love to live peacefully. You don't see them talking anymore, unfortunately.
Azzam Shawwa, a tough conversation. I only hope that things get better across the board and in the region. And thank you for taking the time here at the Media Line.
Thank you very much. And really, it was a very pleasant for me to be. Maybe it's tough on me to say some things, but at least I tried to tell you exactly how somebody who were brought up and to think differently, to think openly, and always to think and look for tomorrow, and always see the positive side, or the full side of the glass of water. Thank you.
Much appreciated.